Hi everybody, this is a bit of a different video than I usually make, but something's been on my mind lately and I want to just record my thoughts on it and or get new opinions. So in Warcraft 1, Orcs vs. Humans, one of the pivotal battles in the First War was the raising of Sunnyglade. Now, canonically, the orcs win the first war, and the humans win the second war. And then they eventually work together in the third war. So, the town does get razed. While the human mission involves you rescuing the prisoners and rebuilding the town, that's technically not canon. Whereas in the orc version of the mission, your job is to destroy the town, ransack its people, and then learn human magics from the tower that is within that town. It's described as a prosperous town. The orcs decide to raise it because they've become fat and lazy, as they say. And so they figured it would be a profitable and easy target, and it was. Plus the strategic value of having magic was huge, and that's pretty much what won them the war. So, yeah, it's a pretty important town. However, in World of Warcraft today, this is a website called wearymaps.net/wow, and it has pretty much every map in World of Warcraft, all of the terrain maps that you see in your minimap, condensed and displayed as one big fuck map. So the interesting thing, and this is post-Cataclysm Azeroth, so we've got a classic map here for where in Warcraft. This is a game that I've been playing for the past day because I think it's fun. It's like GeoGuessr but for World of Warcraft. This is the classic version of the game. There's a classic and retail version. Not relevant, but my high score was 150 rounds with 90% accuracy for retail. I don't remember my high score for classic. It's not important. It wasn't near that number. It wasn't like good. It was like a little embarrassing. So the thing about that is Sunnyglade does not exist in World of Warcraft, the MMO. It's a pivotal turning point in the First War, historically, but it's nowhere to be seen in the Kingdom of Stormwind's borders, where it's supposed to be, or outside of it, for that matter. I think that's obvious, but, just in case. I want to find out where it is. Clearly, the real answer is that the devs just forgot about it, and it's not here. But I want to find a place for it. I want to find a place where it is. So, we're going to find it. I've been poring over maps of the Eastern Kingdoms and the borders of the Kingdom of Stormwind as per the First War, and it's in the region that I have been highlighting this whole time, which would be these 4 zones. And, well, yeah, technically Karazhan is like not part of it. There was like kind of like a crackshot theory. Is that a phrase? There was kind of a weird theory I had where the tower might have been Karazhan. And I don't think that's true, nor do I really want it to be true, because, well, you'll see. The main ways that we're going to be looking for this place are via river formations and tower placements. Now, it's very likely that the tower just might not still be around. It might be as simple as that. They might have burned it to the ground once they learned all there was to learn from it. But I would like to think that such a historical monument is still in this world somewhere. So I'd really want to seek that out. And if you don't give a shit about World of Warcraft, then you can just pretend this is like an ASMR thing or something. I won't be like whispering or talking softly or anything, but, you know, do what you want. Enjoy it how you want, or don't enjoy it at all. You could just click off. So yeah, let's just like fucking dive in. So this is the screen for the human campaign. Like I said, the human campaign technically is not canon. Now, you might be wondering, like, isn't the orc campaign just the same thing but like flipped? No. It's important to know that the human campaign is not canon, because the orc campaign's layout is totally fucking different. And honestly, I don't know why. I don't know how they like thought they could like get away with that. Like, I guess it's just not important. They just didn't really give a shit, which is fine. I mean, like, you know, it was like the 90s when they were making this game, maybe even like 80s. I don't fucking know. But yeah, it was a long ass time ago. And so, yeah, video game polish just like was not, the standards were not the same, nor were the expectations. Like, I'm sure they were like, it's probably a good thing in a strategy game to have it be different for each campaign. So then when you play each campaign, it's a different experience, both on a story level and like technically gameplay wise. But for somebody who's really like invested in like the history and like lore of this shit, it drives me fucking crazy. So yeah, we're going to be considering both layouts, however, just in case. But the main one we're looking for is this fork in the river. And you might be thinking, like, there it is, found it. There are a lot of forks in the river. We're going to go over it. So, yeah. I'm going to be pausing every so often to take a sip of water. Hopefully that's, like, not a jarring transition or anything. Yeah, hopefully you don't even notice it. So yeah, all the Wowpedia page says about Sunnyglade is that it was a town, it was known for its wealth and prosperity, the kingdom fell in the First War, and so it is assumed the town is deserted, occupied, or razed completely. In the Orc campaign, they attacked the town, but a tower was ordered to be left intact so they could study magic. And then, you know, the human campaign, humans were taken as slaves, and the king's forces rescued the prisoners, rebuilt the town, and drove the orcs out of the area, which did not fucking happen. There is a speculation area which states that looking at maps and comparing the layout, some speculate that it once rested around the Tower of Azora in Elwyn Forest, which would be the tower that's referenced in the Orc mission. The river patterns are roughly the same. There's a river dividing Elwyn Forest and Duskwood, much like there is a river on the battlefield. The bridges may have been raised and the infrastructure removed completely. Also, the tile set may indicate that it did take place in a grassy field, much like former Brightwood, prior to its corruption, and Elwyn Forest. For those who don't know, Duskwood used to be called Brightwood, but a curse of darkness fell over the land. A very vague curse of darkness. Like, it's not at all like how Warcraft stories are told today, where they just are like, oh yeah, the big bad did it. Back in Classic, it was just like, yeah, there's this forest is cursed. Figure it out. A lot of undeath problems here. Obviously, it literally is darker than the other surrounding lands, just like aesthetically, light-wise. Fun fact, there was originally going to be there was like a scrapped concept for a dungeon that took place in like a crypt somewhere in Duskwood, I believe, where light levels were a mechanic that you would have to keep track of. And that was, I assume that was very early on in the development of WoW, and so they very quickly realized that light levels was like a hard thing to program, especially for an MMO, and so they were like, yeah. They might have also just been like, isn't it going to be annoying to keep track of how dark it is and not being able to see? And then probably the other team members were like, oh yeah, that sucks. And so they scrapped the idea. But I always thought it was fucking awesome. I kind of wish they did it. I wish they did a lot of things in Classic, but, you know, it was a good game. Rip retail, though. Anyway, so as you can see, there are a lot of rivers and lakes in the Kingdom of Stormwind. One of the so here's the Tower of Azora, okay? It is near a lot of rivers and lakes, a lot of forks in the rivers, and a lot of places that generally can be vaguely lined up with, like, you know, some like slight retcons. Like, I don't expect it to look exactly like either of these. It would be nice, but let's be real, it's been a long fucking time since they made these games. It's been a long fucking time since they made this game. So, you know, things aren't gonna line up. Retcons happen whether you intend for them to or not, as the story develops and gets more complex and you sort of solidify the world more. That's just sort of how it is in a creative process. So, I understand. I forgive them. But as a player, I do not, and we have to figure out this mystery or I'm going to die. So, since it's suggested by the wiki, let's investigate the Tower of Azora, okay? And this isn't the only tower in the region. There are actually 2 others. And if you count guard towers, there's more. But these are like the magic towers that you like, you know, you fucking like build them in the game. Actually, hold on, let me check something. Okay, so actually, I found something interesting. If we look at this image, it didn't zoom in at all. If we look at this image, we can see that the tower that they are supposed to capture is just like a regular ass tower. And that towers, mage towers specifically, did not look the way they do in current World of Warcraft. They don't look like that until Warcraft 3. So while it is unlikely that they would make a guard tower the Sunnyglade tower, if they even remembered it existed at all when they were designing the area, it's not impossible, which opens up our options dizzyingly. That brings our number from 3 to 7, or even 8. Interesting. Or 9, if we count the Karazhan theory. Which, let's get that out of the way. So, this river, right? There's like a tiny lake at the end, and there's like a tiny lake at the beginning. It kind of resembles this, but honestly, the geographical layout of Deadwind Pass is just so weird and mountainous and wonky and fucking innavigable. Is just there's just no way. There's no way. Plus, it's outside of the borders of the kingdom, and like I'm pretty sure Deadwind Pass has always been kind of weird and spooky. Let me check up on the history of Deadwind Pass. Okay, yeah. I can confirm it is definitely not Karazhan or Deadwind Pass or any of this shit. Medivh specifically built Karazhan just like has his own like mansion. He built it. It wasn't a town ever. There was like a little town underneath it, but I think that came afterwards. It's so desolate because of an arcane explosion that happened here, forming this like crater. That's why it's so weird and craggy. Interestingly, the original Warcraft, there was an area called the Borderlands, which was a place that was in between the Kingdom of Stormwind and the Black Morass, which is actually, I can just show you. The Black Morass is the former name of this region, until it got separated into the Blasted Lands and the Swamp of Sorrows. It all used to be swamp, and then the Dark Portal opened, permanently scarring this land. The Dark Portal did not, however, impact Deadwind Pass. Deadwind died because of arcane magic, and it stayed dead because of the harsh winds blowing through the canyons. So, yeah. Mystery solved on that front. Debunked. Next is, and let me just, also, fun fact, apparently there's like a history of a problem of the border between Duskwood and Deadwind Pass just like not showing up on betas, like both for the Cataclysm beta and the Battle for Azeroth map had that problem as well. So I think that's funny. Something that's even funnier actually is the area Karazhan stands in is described as being shaped like a skull, and in reality this is not true. Or, now wait. This would be funny if it was true, but actually, it's wrong. Hold on. Let me get something for you. All right, you guys ready for this? You guys ready? Boom. Skull. So you know fucking what? The Last Guardian canon looks like a skull. We solved a mystery that we didn't even know was there. So that's awesome. But we don't need to worry about it anymore. I got distracted. I was going to look at Tower of Razor first. I think it's better to go from least likely to likeliest, so I changed my mind. We're going over to Redridge. It says nothing about being in Redridge. In any of the games, it's not implied to be like that. There's nothing red about the damn layout. So, but it's fine. We're investigating all possibilities. So there are two towers here. 9/11 Bush knocked down the towers. And there's this winding river and some waterfalls here. And I think you might know where I'm going with this. But as you can see, there's a small lake on one end and a fucking massive lake, but a lake nonetheless on the other. Which lines up with this in a really bad, inaccurate, roundabout way, but it does. So I think there might even be an orc encampment here. But I think that's just in Cataclysm. I think in Classic WoW it's like Knolls or some shit. Here's the territory for Blackrock, though, which definitely was orc controlled, so this still isn't likely, but this was a hot spot for the first war, so we gotta talk about it. It could be this tower or this one. Like this, they could have like built a fortification over the ruins. However, I might be forgetting about some other mission in Warcraft 1 that involves Red Ridge Mountains, and so it could be the site of another battle. So, but I don't really want to look that up now, because I don't really give a fuck about Red Ridge. So let's move on. I don't think it's this place, but in a fucked up, crazy Joker world, it could be. It could be. But it's not. Let's hop on over to Westfall. Specifically the river bordering Westfall and Duskwood. Down here is a tower. I forget what it's called. I'll put it up on the screen. But there's a tower here. And furthermore, there's a fork up here. Now it's a long distance down. But, you know, taking some liberties with the shape of this map, and, you know, this settlement's like way down fucking over here. Where am I? There. Sorry, I got lost in my tabs. Taking some strong liberties, we could say that the town was situated down here, in this little corner. Now, one that I don't think gets discussed enough. Well, first, let's get this out of the way. Some people theorize that maybe Ravenhill is formerly Sunnyglade, and I like that idea, but I don't think it's true. Here's why I like it. Let's be positive first. No, let's be negative first, so then we end on a good note for this theory. The negative thing is that it's just the wrong fucking side of the river, and you can't really get around that. Now, it doesn't have to be the shape of the river, and fucking as two missions within the same game show, it doesn't even have to be anything close to the shape resembling it. Like, it just has to be a river. So this could be true, but there's no tower, and I think it's kind of a stretch to be like, oh, well, then they burned the tower afterwards, and like, because then there's no reason to believe that it's this, other than there's like a small settlement next to this giant graveyard. But what I like about this theory is that you know, Duskwood used to be Brightwood, Darkshire used to be Grand Hamlet, etc. That's been all but confirmed with all the, you know, Warcraft Chronicles books and lore stuff that they've given out. So I like the idea of this formerly being like a prosperous like town in Brightwood. I like the idea that this used to be Sunnyglade, and then after it got burnt to the ground and razed and crops trampled and shit, then it became, first of all, the few remaining buildings were abandoned, and second of all, after the war, after they won the Second War and reclaimed their territory, the citizens that either survived this or, via like being captured as slaves or even just like sprinting away, it's possible they could just run. Or maybe the neighboring town of Darkshire, formerly Grand Hamlet, in order to honor the dead, built this giant cemetery to house their bodies, or at least the memory of them, because like who knows what happens to dead people in war sometimes. Are you gonna go up to fucking Rend Blackhand and be like, hey, my uncle died as a slave for you, can I have his body back for a proper burial? You'll get gutted. It's just not how it's done. So yeah, I don't know if Rend Blackhand was involved in the First War. I don't think. I'll put up something yelling at myself. Don't worry. So, yeah. No tower. No hose. But I do like it thematically, so had to mention it. Something that I don't think gets mentioned very often is the possibility of Sentinel Hill. There is a tower here, and as we've discussed, it doesn't have to be a mage tower. There were mages in the tower, sure. That's the whole point of it, so it's probably a mage tower. But it could really just be any old fucking tower, couldn't it? Right? And I think this one's my favorite, and I probably should have saved it for last. But there's just so many ways that it could be the Tower of Azora. That's probably the Tower of Azora. But I want to give this one its shot. So the thing is, this is like, if you look at this from the side, this is exactly the layout of the like battleground, and I really like that. It's really like satisfying to me. And so while Sentinel Hill I don't think is mentioned in the Warcraft games, unless it is, I don't think it is. I like the idea that this was Sunnyglade, which is also thematically pleasant because of the of how racked with poverty this area is. I really like the idea that there was like a wealthy town in the middle of it, and not in a, oh, this land was once prosperous but then the orcs came. No, like in a wealth inequality Jeff Bezos way. Like, the reason it's so fucking poor is because of Sunnyglade. I like that idea where, like, kind of like how in real life in Pennsylvania, corporations, they mined the mountains for like coal and shit, but they based their headquarters in another state. So all of the money and profits from that industry were flowing out of the state, which is why, the Appalachian Mountains are so impoverished to this day, and it's not just Pennsylvania, but that's where I was born, so I know more about it. And so I kind of like, it's within the same region, but I kind of like the idea that, you know, like Moonbrook wasn't anywhere close to the capital. That's just like where the mine was. And then all of the money was going, you know, through Sunnyglade up to Stormwind and, you know, the King's Pocket. And there are a lot of different mines in Westfall, actually, that kind of support this idea of it not only being the breadbasket of the kingdom, which honestly might have come later after the wars, but also sort of the coin purse of the kingdom, where they just sort of like, they just withdraw money from it constantly, and so there's none left in this area. I don't know. I like it. I like Sentinel Hill as an idea. Cool. Next up on the list, Westbrook Garrison. There's another tower here. And as you can see, there are two forks. Like, so while it doesn't quite line up with this fork, it does line up with this fork. So it's still possible and valid. Maybe they set up Westbrook Garrison after the war ended, the Second War, that is. Maybe they set it up after they reclaimed their home, and they have it here, you know, to make sure nothing like that ever happens again. And the only thing left is this tower. My problem is it's so close to Stormwind. Even if we're accepting the very real fact that, like, World of Warcraft continents are fucking tiny, the Eastern Kingdom's in-game is roughly 26,312 yards, or 24 kilometers in length. This makes it 0.003% the length of Africa. Alright? Now, I'm sure they chose Africa because it's fucking huge, and, you know, 0.003 is a startling number. But also, if we accept the fact that these continents are fucking tiny, but they're tiny in a stylistic way. Like, I don't think literally it's that size. I don't think it's literally 24 kilometers long. That's stupid. But it's sort of like a representative map, you know? Where things are scaled down far beyond what they actually would be if you were, like, you know, isekai'd into World of Warcraft and, like, fucking could hang out with, like, Anduin and shit. God, I want to teleport into World of Warcraft. But anyway. No, I don't. It probably sucks to live here. I'm gonna be honest. Just 20 years of straight up, like, world-ending threats and constant infighting and wars constantly. People dying all the time. World of Warcraft bad. But I think that even though it's very, very close to Stormwind, probably too close to actually, like, be raised without, you know, the fucking army descending on them, I think that if we keep in mind that this is a representative map rather than a literal map, then I think that it's possible that they didn't get there in time. So, yeah. And I guess you can consider maybe this, like, it's kind of like a mix, this river, it's kind of a mix of these two maps, where there's a lake here that originates from, well, no, doesn't originate from, it originates from here. Whenever I look at a map, I always think the rivers go the wrong direction. I always think they're flowing inland rather than outland. You are not prepared. But yeah, it's a lake flowing into this river, which meets at a fork. So it's kind of both. So that's another +1 point for Westbrook Garrison in its favor. Now we get to the Elwyn region, which is chock full of fucking lots of rivers and lakes. So let's just go through them. Let's get this out of the way. This looks a lot like this. But as you can see, there's nothing here. And furthermore, there's nothing here either. So sure, it could be this formation, and Sunnyglade could have been here. But that would just be like weird placement, right? Like, I'm not alone in thinking that. I don't think it would be right. Now, one of the major things that we should consider is what the devs thought Azeroth looked like back then, and what they included in the map. Interestingly, Sunnyglade is not on this fucking map. I will say, maybe sometime we should try and find the Temple of the Damned or Rockard, because those vanished. But right now, let's pay attention to the task at hand. While it's unlikely that it was the Tower of Azora, it's impossible for it to have been Northshire or Goldshire, as they were already locations in Warcraft 1. Separate locations. Stonewind Keep. Stonewind? Man, what? That's not even like... It's not even a good name. Good they changed it. It's always so weird to see the oldest version of a franchise. Like, look, Elwyn is just sort of like pushed over to the side here. Anyway, so yeah, this map is very different, except for, you know, Black Morass over here, Kingdom over here. Like, yeah, I guess that's true. Can we talk about how, like, funny it is that I feel like the entirety of the Eastern Kingdoms is, like, pretty consistent. Nothing really jumps out at you out of nowhere. Like, all of this is, like, temperate European shit. This is, like, cursed temperate European shit. Like, medieval, old-ass, you know. Oh, hey. Fun fact, here's Quel'Thalas. The out-of-bounds zone that nobody goes to. I wonder, in Classic WoW, could you see into the Ghostlands and see that it was like blue and shit? Was that a design decision they made before Burning Crusade? Or is this just like a Burning Crusade map and they just didn't include the Quel'Thalas portion? Because, fun fact, technically those two regions, Eversong Woods and the Ghostlands, and the Isle of Quel'Danas, all the way the fuck up over there, they're technically in the Outlands map. Like, past the skybox, in their own little, like, you know, pocket of space, but, like, they load at the same time as the Outland map. And so they're not technically... Like, you couldn't physically glitch there without teleporting to Outland first. Such as through this gate, which is how you do it in Burning Crusade. But anyway, this continent's pretty consistent, where it's like, you know, you go to the south end, you've got, like, the Dwarven lands, and, like, Searing Gorge and Burning Steppes kind of come out of nowhere, but also, like, there's, like, a historical reason that they're like that, so it still makes sense that, they might have used to be, either like these lands or like these lands, but then they were like, you know? I will say, I don't know why the Badlands are like that. Fun fact, they never fixed this. Check this out. Check this out. In Cataclysm, they added flying and since they were really insecure about all of the smoke and mirrors and shit that they used to make the game look good back then, they had to revamp the entire world. That's like why they did it. They just never fixed this though. Fucking corner as 90-degree as. Okay. Sorry, I love you, WoW devs. Most of you. Corporate, watch your fucking back. Yeah, shit like this is why they didn't want you flying. Like, but even that makes sense. And then you fucking get down to Stranglethorn Vale. And it's like they got bored. Where they're like, oh my god, all this fucking high fantasy, like medieval shit. Oh my god, just give me a fucking huge jungle, please. Like, they just got sick of working with this, like, palette. And I love that. I truly love that. Where there's just no gradual transition. There's not, like, Northern Stranglethorn doesn't look any different than Southern Stranglethorn. It's just, you're in a forest, you're in the tropics, baby. So, back to the matter at hand. The Tower of Azura. Once again, it could be the case where the interpretation of the river is not quite as solid as someone like me would prefer. It might just be, here's a river, here's the tower, you know? Like they fucking, their encampment was here or some shit. Or so I thought. Check this shit out. There's a river that divides into a fork. There's a tower over here and a tower over here. That is two prime fucking hotspots for a potential Sunnyglade location. In addition to that, as I'm sure that you've been staring at while I ramble, there's a fork up here and a fork down here. So this river alone validates both sides of this, both sides of the river as potential Sunnyglade spots. Potentially Eastvale Logging Company built over the ruins. And then the tower is over here. Or potentially there's just nothing left. Wolves live there now. And also there's a tower. It's hard to tell. But these are also candidates. And this one's a favorite of mine too, because I didn't notice this and I got really excited about it when I found it. So, yeah. Now, in Cataclysm, there is a tower here. There's no tower here, though, so it doesn't count. Don't mention this tower. It doesn't count. It wasn't fucking there. Or was it? But you know how I feel about the more times you imply that something got destroyed and rebuilt, the less credible it is to me. So, no. There's a tower down here at Beggar's Haunt. But there's there's a river over there, and like the river up here, it's on the wrong side of, and it's in the middle of like a bunch of fucking mountains and hills and shit. And even if we don't take the mountain placement of this map literally, which, whew, from a world building perspective, you really should just discount the mountains. They're such a pain because they're in such unnatural shapes. It's like, oh, cool, more mountains. Like, fucking Deadwind's all mountains, baby. Oops, all mountains. And basically so's the eastern portion of Duskwood. Holy shit, I do not remember it being this mountainous. It's kind of like Ashenvale. I did not remember how fucking innavigable Ashenvale is. No fucking wonder the Night Elves were feared for their ability to traverse this forest. Like, no wonder the orcs thought this place was like cursed. Like, there's like a ridge where this path is, and then from there there's just a bunch of like these tiny, extremely steep offshoot valleys and like hills and ridges and crests that like you can't directly climb over. And so it's just a matter of like, there is no way to get from point A to point B in a straight line at any point in this region. And I didn't realize that until I started playing Classic and like remembered like how things used to be without flying. And like, you know, I feel like the redesign of this region probably removed some of them because it's obnoxious. But yeah, the mountains in this game are ridiculous. They're fucking terrible. Sick of them. Are these? Hold on. Okay, yeah. I like, without their like wig snatched from Deathwing, I did not recognize these two plateaus. But yeah, it looks like the Badlands is pretty faithful. But this isn't a comparison video. This isn't a Cataclysm Classic comparison video. I could make one of those, but I won't. So those are all the potential candidates for its location. Let's recap. It's not here. It's not in Deadwind Pass. It's not in fucking Deadwind Pass. Those are my 3 bullet points. Second, it could be here. It's not here. So that's like -3 points and -1 point, maybe 0 points. Like where like it, I could accept that it was here, but I'd be really fucking disappointed. Over here, this tower, pretty good. It's got the river, it's got the tower. But -1 point because it's so far down the river, so it's got like 1 point. Raven Hill does not have the tower, and it's on the wrong side of the river, so that's -2. But plus, I'm gonna say +2 because it definitely isn't, but I kind of hope it is. So a net 0 score for Raven Hill. Sentinel Hill, I think, is the money. I think this, I would be excited if it was this, because then that means I figured it out and nobody else did first. Don't look it up. Don't look it up. I'm sure people have... nobody's ever posited this before. I'm the first one. Don't look it up. Plus 1,000 points. It's got the tower. It's got the fucking river. It's the wrong kind of tower. But I really like it, so I'm going to say it's 3 points. Tower, river, perfect location, perfect shape. That's 4. And then -1. Because it's not the correct tower. Same here. Good position, decent, not enough to knock points. It's possible. There's a tower. So there's a river. That's like 1 or 2 points. Kind of likely. I wouldn't be disappointed if it was here. I would be very surprised, though. If it has anything to do with this lake, I'll piss myself. I'll be mad. The Tower of Azora has not 1, not 2, barely 3 potential ways that it could be Sunnyglade. This is the accepted theory, and this is basically what people go with when you ask them. Because everybody knows about this controversy, trust me. If you don't know about it, you're not listening. However, this tower over here also has 2 very valid and decently shaped rivers, and it's the wrong type, so it's probably going to get like a 2 score instead, where this gets like a 2.5. No, 3.5 because it's the correct tower. Damn. These numbers don't mean anything. I'm sorry. There's no standardized thing that I came up with to score these, and every single one that I've mentioned has been different. We're moving on. We're not scoring them anymore. I don't know why I started doing that. I don't know why I'm continuing. It could be this one. It would be interesting to me, because then I could sort of tie this little developed region to it, and I think that would be interesting. Where, like, you know, this is a logging camp, but there are like residential houses here. Like, this is like an inn, and this is like, it's not like an inn, it's like a big house, and then there's like small houses dotting along here, and then this is the lumber mill. So I think, quick, check, is there a lumber mill here? What does a lumber mill look like in Warcraft 1? It sure is. There sure is a lumber mill here. Holy shit, guys. Wait. Holy shit. This loud-ass plane just went overhead. It was like... I don't know if you heard it on the recording. But I thought we were like getting bombed or something. That was like scary. Okay. But I am excited because there's a lumber mill here. Guys, holy shit. Wait, hold on. There's a lumber mill here. There's a tower here. It's kind of a stretch, but there's a magic tower way over here. So, like... Wait a second. There's another damn plane. Is there like some sort of like jet show happening above me right now? That's like stressful. Okay. If you guys see this tower is to the west of the town. It's across another river, sure, but if we're looking at this, and this is like our river that we're like basing it off of, and this river, like, you know, was retconned in, it could be. So in summary, my personal top 2 locations are either Sentinel Hill or, and I'm newly converted to this, Eastvale Logging Camp. I'm very strongly in support of this one now. I've convinced myself. What do you guys think? Did I miss any locations on this map? Are you a WoW lore expert that's about to school me so hard that I cry? Or did you just like notice something in the landscape while I was doing this video that I didn't notice? And you're like not invested, but you're like, hey, you missed something, dipshit. Let me know. Do you disagree with my top picks? Do you think that it's something else? Those are my top 2 picks, but I also wouldn't mind if it was here or here at Westbrook Garrison and whatever the fuck this tower's called. I'll put it up on the screen. So yeah, that annoying, scary plane is about to make another pass. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you again in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.